My point is, leaders should model the behaviors that you want to see your team doing. When you are a leader, you're actually given this profound, like, huge opportunity to make a difference, to inspire other people, to share your talents, to share your skills, and help other people. The burden that you have to carry as a leader is really, really heavy. Because if your team messes up, if your team makes some mistakes, if you're not getting the results that you want, then that's really on you. And the third lesson is leaders lead by example. Okay, let me say that one more time. Leaders lead by example. It is absurd, it is stupid, it is crazy, it is insane for leaders to actually believe that they are exemptions or exempted from the rules or from the standards. No, it is even absurd for leaders to expect their team to do something they are not willing to do themselves. Okay, for example, if you want your team to show up early or on time in a meeting, and then you as a leader, you're not showing up on time, then you can't expect your team to do it, right? Because you have to lead by example. Your team, whether you like it or not, or whether you believe it or not, your team will always be watching everything that you do. Even if you tell them, I want you to be on time, and then they see you not being on time, they will believe more the action that they see than the words that you actually tell them. Okay, so leaders should set standards or expectations that they are able and willing to do at the same time. Leaders are never exceptions to the rule. The more that you like, the higher your position is as a leader, the more that you should be held accountable to any rules and standards that you have set. Okay, and I remember this one time when I was a student leader, I used to facilitate meetings, and I noticed that most of our meetings are not very productive. Like, you know how some meetings would start with talking about things and topics not related to the agenda or not related to the main purpose of the meeting. And I remember we'd have meetings like 2 to 3 hours long, and 80% of that time was just spent on talking about things that are not related to the agenda or things that are like outside the main purpose or goal of the meeting. And so what we did was that I modeled the behavior, meaning to say, when we started the meeting, as I facilitated the meeting, every time my team members would talk about something that's outside the agenda, they will always hear me say, "Okay, one meeting, please." So like that was the prompt that I was telling them that is outside the agenda. We can talk about that later, but that's for later. We have to go back. So it's my way of calling their attention and telling them and prompting them, okay, we have to go back to the agenda. Okay, what we are here for, that's our priority. Okay, and because of that, I kind of noticed that eventually other meetings that they would facilitate, they'd also do the same way because they have seen me do that. And that concept was very much applicable now that I am a corporate leader. I remember, I think it was during the start of pandemic, 2020, 2021, 2022, those years. Of course, we have shifted from working in the office to working from home, and most of our meetings are done online. And what I did not like about those meetings in the early days of the pandemic was that people, at least my team, will not turn on their video in the meeting. And I was so disappointed and really frustrated because for me, it's very important for me that I see them, like their videos on, so I can see their facial expressions. I can see like their eyes if like they're doing something else because that's very obvious. If you're like doing something else, you can see the movements of the eyes. I can see their preparedness as well and their reactions in the meeting. But then I realized that there are also times in the meetings that I will not turn on my video. And so what I did was every meeting, I always make sure that my video is on. And eventually, I think my team started to notice that. And then eventually, they start turning on their video. And then when I noticed that almost everybody is doing it, that's when I communicated my expectations. I told them, okay, moving forward, I want us to turn on our videos in our meetings. I don't always see you all the time. And so I need to see you in our meeting so I get to see your reactions, your facial expressions, and really you can also see me as well. And because they saw me doing it first, it was not very difficult for them to follow. My point is, leaders should model the behaviors that you want to see your team doing, right? You should be willing to actually be the very first person to do what you expect them to do, and they will follow. Because again, whether you like it or not, your team will always be watching you, and your team will always be copying or replicating whatever that you are doing. So, leaders should lead by example. Now, we go to the fourth lesson. And the fourth lesson is leadership is a way of life. Leadership is a way of life. You can't just say, at work, I am a leader, but like when you go get home, when you're with your family, then you're not a leader. Like what I'm trying to say is, you can't say, at work, you are accountable, you're honest, you are reliable, but when you get home, you're not reliable anymore. You're not accountable anymore. You're not honest anymore. That's just not how things work. Because when you project yourself as a leader, people will expect you and people basically will rely on you in different aspects of your life. And that is very, very important for me because I remember as a student leader, I once thought that, okay, I'm only a leader in the student council or the organization that I'm part of, but once I'm in the classroom, I'm no longer a leader. And that I was proven wrong at that time because I remember after doing my like task, my job as a student leader in the student council, and I attended my class. I remember we were doing this project, a group project basically, and then we were assigned a team, and eventually like automatically my members, like the other students in that group would tell me, okay, love, you lead us. And I was like, why would I do that? And they were like, because you are the student council president. I'm like, what do you mean? Because we know that you can lead, so you lead us, you lead the team, you lead us in this group project. And that's when it hit me, okay, people not only see me as a leader in the student council, but also a leader in every aspect of my life. And that made me more intentional about how I actually behave in every aspect of my life, whether I'm attending an event, a birthday, whether I'm attending or like joining a meeting, I'm talking to a classmate, a teacher, etc. I have become more intentional about how I would behave because I know that people have already engraved in their mind that love is a leader that we can rely to love. We can tell her our problems and perhaps she can help us or we can talk to her about anything and we can trust her because she is a leader. Like, people have that expectations in their head. And I am doing this not because I know that they have these expectations, but because I know that it is very important as a leader that we live a life of integrity. Every actions, decisions that we do, the way that we behave should actually be aligned with our values and who we are as a person. Again, you can't just say I'm like this in one setting, but on the other setting, you're not like that anymore. That's just crazy as well. And I was able to bring that lesson in corporate leadership. In corporate leadership, you get to meet with people and with employees and even with stakeholders, and I realized that how I show up when I have meetings with our, for example, Japanese counterparts, our stakeholders, our partners, and how I show up in meetings with my associates and how I show up in meetings with our English tutors actually should be aligned. And it will not be a surprise anymore to them. For example, if I because in meetings, I don't like boring meetings. So I sometimes throw a joke, of course, appropriate jokes. And so when I meet with them, it's not something that they're surprised about because they know that in whatever meetings that I'm part of, it will always be lighter. It will always be a little fun because I don't facilitate boring meetings. And so that is very, very aligned that even when I meet with our CEO, he knows that. He kind of expected that because, again, that's how I show. I'm very consistent about it. And so my point is, when you decide, okay, when you decide to be a leader really and embrace that identity, then you have to embrace the reality and the fact that people will be looking up to you in every aspect of your life, whether that's with friends, at home, at work, with your partner, or with whatever setting that you're in. Okay, people will always see you in that manner. So you have to embrace that reality and, start living a life with integrity. Everything that you do should be aligned with your values, with your beliefs, and who you are as a person. That's just how it is. And we go to the last lesson, lesson number 5. And this is, I would say, one of the beautiful and at the same time ugly truth about being a leader. And that is, leadership is both a blessing and a burden. Let me say that one more time. Leadership is both a blessing and a burden. What do I mean by that? When you are a leader, you're actually given this profound, like huge opportunity to make a difference, to inspire other people, to share your talents, to share your skills, and help other people. And I would say one of the most rewarding and one of the most satisfying thing about being a leader is me realizing that I am able to help my team succeed. Okay, I always believe that one of my missions as a leader is to make the lives of the people around me a little bit better. Meaning to say, make the lives of my team better than when I first found them. And that's through my guidance, that's through the way that I communicate to them, that's through setting clear goals, setting clear expectations, that's through setting clear boundaries as well, what's wrong and what's not, what's right and what's not right. So when I do that and I see that my team would start to behave and operate in a way that's aligned with what we actually talked about, and then they will succeed, then that's more rewarding than just receiving any material reward at the end. And I, of course, learned that in student leadership because literally I don't get anything, but the satisfaction of seeing my team succeed and their smiles every time we, example, end an event and it was a successful event, and they will go to me and say, "Thank you, love, for guiding us. This will not be possible without you. Like, you really were a big help," etc. Like those kinds of feedback as well. It kind of like make me feel more motivated and at the same time more driven to continue what I am doing. And the same thing in corporate leadership, we receive feedback from our team. We even see our team grow. Like, I remember meeting like one associate. At first, they were very, very shy. They were very introverted, as what they'd call themselves. And then now they're confident leading their own teams. They're now a supervisor, facilitating meetings, leading their own team. So like being able to see my team succeed and grow and become the person that they are right now is a blessing, because I would say not all people get to have that opportunity, get to have that chance to witness other people's success and other people's growth. So that's like the beautiful thing about leadership. And on the other side of leadership is the burden that you have to carry as well. Because again, if you lead other people, then that means you are in charge of other people. You should take care of these people. Okay, in student leadership, they trust you, they believe in you, and they follow you because they know that you have a vision for them and for the team, the student council, basically. And because of that, every time that they mess up, every time that they make mistakes, every time that they fail, you can't just run away and blame them for it, because they will always look at you and tell you, "Love, where do we go from here? What do we do? I messed up. I made a mistake. What do I do now?" Right? And you can't just say, "Well, that's your fault." No, that's very irresponsible and a disservice if you do that. You have to carry that responsibility. You have to be accountable not only to your own actions and decisions, but also to the actions and decisions of your team. Because at the end of the day, you had the final say. You said yes to that, you allowed them to do that. And so you're also held accountable to it. Much more in corporate leadership, because again, these people that you're leading depend on you for their livelihood. I mean, they are working so they can put food on the table. And if you are not accountable enough, if you're not responsible in your decisions and actions, and they will lose the job, then that's on you, right? So the burden that you have to carry as a leader is really, really heavy. Because if your team messes up, if your team makes some mistakes, if you're not getting the results that you want, then that's really on you. You cannot blame your team. Yes, we acknowledge that maybe they did something, but at the end of the day, it's really on you because you allowed that to happen, right? Your basically the gap between the goal that you want and where you are right now is more on what you allowed to happen and did not allow to happen in your team. And that is on you as the leader because you make that decision. Whether consciously or subconsciously, you are making that decision. And at the same time, with this burden that you carry, leadership also sometimes can feel very, very lonely. Okay, they say being at the top can be very, very lonely at times because not all people get to understand what you are seeing. Not all people get to understand the kinds of problem that you are solving. And it's a very, very lonely journey. You can feel very alone at times. And again, that's the burden of leadership. But it does not mean that you have to stop. It does not mean that you quit just because things are difficult, just because you felt alone, just because your team messed up. No. Leadership is about taking full responsibility, showing up with accountability, and showing up more courageously and in a better way. Because you have to learn and extract the lessons from that experience, grow through the experience, and then act on the lessons that you have learned. So I'd say again, leadership is a blessing because you see the growth of your team and a burden at the same time because of the kinds of problems and the baggage that you're carrying and the expectations that people have on you and the trust basically that they have put on you can also feel like it can add pressure to what you're already doing. But I think that is the beauty about leadership because you get to solve problems you never thought you're capable of solving. You get to see a version of you in that situation that you never thought is actually like there all this time. And you get to again break that boundary that you have set for yourself because you took on the challenge of leading a group of people. And people can be very complicated at times, leading them, guiding them towards a vision, and allowing them, giving them the support and opportunity and resources that they need to succeed. So I would have to say that in these 5 lessons that I have shared with you, leadership is an act of service, the team is who the leader is, a leader or leadership is leading by example, leadership is a way of life, and leadership is both a blessing and a burden. These lessons have actually been very instrumental in my career right now. I have had to sacrifice a lot of things. I've had to make choices and decisions I never thought I'm capable of making. And I've had to take actions I never thought I'm capable of doing because of my experience as a leader. From being a student leader and now as a corporate leader, I am carrying these lessons with me. And I would say that again, although I'm still learning these lessons from like time and time again, it had made my journey as an adult, as a professional, as a corporate leader, not really easy, but at least I would say like these lessons have helped me navigate the complexities of leadership. Because I know, for example, if I face a problem as a corporate leader, I know that it's not the first time that I have been in that situation. Like I tell myself, love, you've been there. Maybe not exactly the same, but you have been through this similar experience before when you were a student leader. So you can, and you were able to like rise above those challenges. And definitely now you can do the same thing. So my confidence in myself in terms of leading teams, leading other people is much higher compared to other leaders who are just starting. And I would just like to say that me sharing all these 5 lessons with you, my dear listeners, I hope that you will also be able to like see and learn these lessons in your own way and apply these lessons as well as you navigate leadership. Because for me, like with all of the experience I've had when I was 11 years old, now that I'm 28 years old, like just leading people and navigating the leadership arena, I would really say that this life that I have right now, like this identity that I have as a leader, is something that I'm very proud of. Because again, I was able to thrive in very complex, difficult situations and very difficult environments because I know that I have a team with me in that journey and I have confidence in myself because again, I was learning a lot as I grew older and as I have expanded my experience as a professional and as a leader as well. And so it is my hope that you will be able to apply these 5 lessons in your leadership journey. And let me just tell this, especially to you, if you are thinking about or doubting or having second thoughts about whether or not you will take on that promotion or accept that promotion or whether or not you will say yes to a leadership position, I'll tell you, do it. Say yes to it. Because all of the good things and the fun things and the beautiful things that I have experienced in my life, that's thanks to my leadership journey. Okay? So if you're a student leader, you want to run for a position, you want to involve yourself in student council, then do it. Because the person that I am right now is thanks to my old self, my younger self, who said yes to the student leadership role. And if you are waiting for a promotion or if you want to be promoted as well, then I think these lessons can be very much applicable. Because one thing that I also learned from being a student leader is that you don't wait to become a leader. You don't wait for any positions. Like leadership is not about position or title. Leadership is about how you live your life and how you lead yourself and how you lead other people. It's not really about the title. And so whether where you are right now in your at the stage of your life, these lessons will be very, very helpful and very, very beneficial for you. So yeah, those are the 5 lessons from a student leader. And I hope that you learned something from my episode today. And I also hope that you will have a very fruitful, meaningful journey as a leader. Once again, this is the Love Ravina Podcast. Until next time, keep showing up, speaking up, and leading boldly.